Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul announcing today that the state will end a COVID-19 mask mandate that requires face coverings for most indoor public settings, but the state will keep masking rules for schools. The mandate requiring face coverings in most indoor public settings like grocery stores, shops, and offices was put in place December 10th as the Omicron variant of the virus began infecting huge numbers of New Yorkers. It was set to expire Thursday unless the administration extended it. Businesses, counties, and cities can now make their own decisions. A massive water main break is flooding some Philadelphia streets. The water main break happening early this morning in the southwestern section of the city. Firefighters can be seen going door to door in the King Sessing neighborhood, alerting families and helping evacuate those in need. Officials are looking into what may have caused the break. Right now, it's unclear just how long it will take to shut the water off. Tonight, Elmira police want you to move your car if it's been parked on a public street for more than 48 hours. Police note that the two recent snowstorms have caused many vehicles to be snowed in, and police say many owners aren't trying to go get them. But this is causing problems for the Department of Public Works because they can't properly clear the snow off the roads. Police say they'll enforce the law that says a car can only be parked continuously in the same spot for 48 hours on a public street. Then it will get parking tickets and eventually be impounded. Could relief at the pump be coming? Two Democrats have proposed suspending the gas tax for at least the rest of the year to help lower prices for drivers. Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
Two Democratic senators want to put a few bucks back in your wallet when you fill up.
$30 won't give me not even half a tank at this point no more, because I get the most expensive one.
Senators Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire and Mark Kelly of Arizona are facing tough re-election fights this year. They're proposing the Gas Prices Relief Act. It would suspend the 18.4-cent federal gas tax through the end of the year. Gas companies would be monitored to make sure they're passing savings to consumers, and it would require the Treasury to keep making transfers to the Highway Trust Fund. The gas tax helps fund highway projects and public transit, and while any price reduction would be a relief, according to AAA, on average, gas is up more than $1 compared to a year ago.
By Memorial Day, Americans are going to have to dig deeper with potentially an average of $4 a gallon.
It's unclear how successful the bill will be. Similar legislation has failed in the past, though a suspension seems to have some Republican support.
We will actually combine our grocery tax elimination with suspending the gas tax increase for 1 year.
The White House says they know Americans are hurting.
Prices are too high.
President Biden and his administration continue the push for more electric vehicles.
And the future is clearly electric.
Going electric, the president says it will not only combat rising gas prices, but also fight climate change and save drivers about $1,000 a year. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Tax time is here, and there might be some extra cash for those with kids. 2021 saw an expansion of the Child and Dependent Care Tax Credit, meaning families will get a bigger tax break and more households will be able to access these cuts. Eligible households could see a credit of up to $8,000 back. This credit will only be available for 2021 tax returns because it was part of the American Rescue Plan from last March. The credit is only available for dependent care provided, so adults could go to or look for work. U.S. troops begin deploying to Romania, while Russia continues to build up its forces. So far, diplomacy has produced no clear breakthrough. Lucas Tomlinson has more.
Russian forces are moving closer to Ukraine's border, the country moving short-range ballistic missiles and air defense systems into the area. While warships carrying troops and tanks have entered the Black Sea. Russia insists the ships are part of pre-planned naval exercises, but defense experts have suggested a Russian invasion could involve targeting Ukraine's third-largest city, Odessa, from the sea.
Every sign we're seeing on the ground and now at sea is that they are continuing down the path of escalation.
Diplomacy by top U.S. and European officials has produced no clear breakthrough yet. This week, French President Emmanuel Macron met with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but left without an agreement. Ukraine's president says the talks are an uphill battle.
I don't know an entity in Europe today that would be able to put strong pressure on Russia.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Army's 2nd Cavalry Regiment is beginning to deploy to Romania. The U.S. said it would move around 3,000 service members to Romania, Germany, and Poland as Russia builds up its forces. Officials say the move indicates the United States' commitment to the NATO alliance.
They'll build interoperability and trust. In this manner, together, we will assure our allies, deter our adversaries, and stand ready to defend the NATO alliance.
U.S. officials say about 1,000 NATO troops will deploy to Romania over the coming days. In Kyiv, Ukraine, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Protesters, part of the Freedom Convoy in Canada, now making their way to the U.S.-Canadian border. Molly Line has more from Ottawa, where the protests have been ongoing.
We're Canadian, and we want to be free Canadians.
Increasing concern spreading through Canada and now the U.S. as the Freedom Convoy threatens trade along the border. Truckers blocking traffic at the Ambassador Bridge connecting Detroit and Ontario. A second crossing linking Alberta and Montana also shut down by protesters, calling for an end to all COVID restrictions and vaccine mandates.
We want freedom, freedom of all mandates, and that's what we're fighting for.
The Ambassador Bridge is the busiest international crossing in North America, carrying 25% of all trade between Canada and the U.S. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accusing protesters of trying to blockade the economy while defending measures taken to protect citizens throughout the pandemic.
We're going to continue to follow the science. We're going to continue to have Canadians' backs. We're going to continue to protect people's lives.
Meanwhile, police in Ottawa continuing their efforts to crack down on protesters there. The Freedom Convoy has been centered in Canada's capital since late January. Police there seizing any fuel brought to truckers, cutting off material, financial, and logistical support.
This government is working very closely with the City of Ottawa to provide the police all of the tools and the resources that they need to end this convoy as quickly and as peacefully as possible.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the Biden administration is keeping a close eye on the situation. In Ottawa, Canada, Molly Line, Fox News.
A fire crew practicing an ice rescue on a Missouri lake makes a real-life rescue after 2 teens plunge into the water. Zara Barker has more.
Crews at the Maryland Heights Fire District picked the perfect day to train for an ice rescue at Creve Coeur Lake. The sun was shining, and it's the small window they can train on real ice. But as they wrapped up their training Tuesday,
I kind of looked over the lake and I saw 2 people running. And I turned to Chief Earnhardt. I said, "Hey, Chief." And I kind of pointed in that direction.
I glanced over and thought, yep, they sure are. And boy, it's just an accident waiting to happen. And the minute I thought that, they dropped through the ice.
Every person training switched gears immediately.
Went instantly from a training mode to a rescue mode.
Luckily, we had a drone operator on scene. He deployed the drone immediately so he could get eyes on the victims and monitor their status.
As the drone flew above, rescue crews put back on their gear as quickly as possible.
We were very limited on everything because we had one company there, but we had to react.
A normal response would have taken 3 to 4 minutes. This one, just seconds. And that could have been the saving grace for these 2 teens.
They don't have a lot of time. By the time we got out there, in the short period of time that they were actually in the water, they started losing their dexterity. They weren't able to grab onto anything.
The ice even breaking underneath the rescuers.
This is why we come out and train every year.
We're not usually right here when it happens. And those 2 are very lucky that we were there because they were already starting to succumb to the cold.
The 2 teens were taken to the hospital, and rescue crews have just one message.
Stay off the ice. It's that simple.
Zara Barker, Fox 2 News.
Still ahead tonight, air pollution levels in China so bad, smog made it impossible to see buildings or the sun.
Beijing's air quality really reached its worst point around 2012, 2013, and that's when public concern, public outrage about the issue reached a boiling point.
More on how Beijing reduced greenhouse gas emissions to provide clear skies ahead of the ongoing Winter Olympics.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox.
We take being able to see the sun for granted, but in China, immense air pollution can shroud the skies. Marianne Rafferty shows us how Beijing reduced greenhouse gas emissions to provide clear skies for the Winter Olympics.
Air pollution levels in China were so bad, smog made it almost impossible to see buildings and even the sun. But efforts to reduce harmful emissions in time for the Winter Olympics means blue skies for athletes.
Beijing's air quality really reached its worst point around 2012, 2013, and that's when public concern, public outrage about the issue reached a boiling point.
This is what much of Beijing looked like when it hosted the Summer Olympics back in 2008, a far cry from today's conditions. To get here, the Associated Press says Chinese officials enforced tighter restrictions on factories burning coal, reduced the number of vehicles allowed on roadways, improved methods for collecting and reporting air quality data, and more.
When there's an important episode, like an important political event in Beijing, or currently the Winter Olympics, the government will still order a shutdown of many of those largest emitters to ensure that you don't have a flare-up, a smog episode during that period.
On top of all this, Olympic officials say this year's Winter Games are on track to be carbon neutral, removing more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than they emit, thanks to eco-friendly venues powered by renewable energy. But China still has a long way to go, according to the World Health Organization. Last year's average air pollution levels for Beijing were more than 6 times the recommended limit.
If you're planning on buying a car soon, expect to pay more, and good luck finding what you might be looking for. The supply of cars is still low, and it's causing higher prices. Giovanni Lieghi has more on when we can expect car prices to return to normal.
Well, it might not be until the end of the year when we start to see those prices go down. That's even if you are able to find something that you're looking for. Both new and used cars are still going to be in short supply.
Every time I look at a used car that I try to buy, I feel like my heart pumping so hard.
What used to be a parking lot filled with used cars for sale is now looking a bit empty because of supply chain issues.
It's very hard for dealers right now, especially used car dealers.
At another car lot just down the road, it's the same deal.
I compare it to real estate now.
Used car prices are up about 40% since the start of the pandemic. New car prices are up 12%.
It's kind of tough for the customers too to find a car that they're looking for. The prices keep increasing and the inventory getting smaller and smaller.
Experts say they don't expect prices to return to normal anytime soon.
New car prices will not be gaining like they have, but we also don't expect significant drops in new or used vehicle prices in the foreseeable future.
So what is behind those rising prices? A national computer chip shortage, shipping delays, and increased production costs.
Because they're paying more for labor and they're paying more for material. So it's kind of tough all the way around.
Used car dealerships say those prices are something they can't control.
The customer comes in thinking we're making these huge profits on vehicles when we're really not, because the auction prices are going up. And so therefore it's a domino effect.
Now at the moment, on average, consumers are paying more than the retail price for cars. So if you're planning on buying one in the future, waiting could save you a chunk of change.
Experts predict big bets for Super Bowl Sunday. Madeline Rivera has more on the potential record-breaking sports gambling streak, plus what law enforcement says you should watch out for if you're going to invest in some Super Bowl gear.
Super Bowl 56 is expected to break records. The American Gaming Association predicting 31.5 million sports fans will bet on this year's big game, up by 35% from last year, resulting in more than $7.6 billion worth of wagers.
Super excited.
And these gambling forecasts are boding well for states where sports betting is allowed, especially in New York, where folks will be able to start placing bets directly from their phones.
It's almost too convenient. I can upload some like $5, $10 onto my app,
right away and bet.
New York officials hope this will increase revenues for the state, but say safety measures are in place to prevent gambling abuses, including
caps on accounts, caps on credit card usage, warding off against minors.
Betting on sports, however, isn't the only way to make money.
We want Kim to get a new jersey.
Super Bowl merchandise can also prove valuable, but law enforcement say if you're looking to invest in some gear, be on the lookout for fakes.
Counterfeiting is a crime. It's nothing more than stealing. And individuals or entities that are involved in the sale or distribution of counterfeit products may face civil or criminal penalties.
Hats and jerseys aren't the only things counterfeiters are trying to sell. Officials have even confiscated fake Vince Lombardi trophies as well. In total, 30 states and Washington, D.C. offer sports betting, with 10 of those making it legal since last year's Super Bowl. In Washington, Martha Rivera.
6-year-old Rosie White has become an internet sensation, giving her Instagram followers a lesson on some famous black women throughout history. Camille Amiri has more on the little girl and her spot-on impressions.
Rolling down the river.
6-year-old Rosie is at it again this February.
And although I had 24 wins and no losses, and I had 21 knockouts. I mean, Layla Ali would say the greatest boxers in history, or greatest boxers.
Rosie and her mom, Kenya, make videos throughout the year, but they put a special emphasis on February, which of course is Black History Month.
I didn't want to teach her the trauma of Black history that I was taught as a kid her age. I wanted her to learn about women and inventors, something that she can reflect on and say, hey, I can do that. I can be her. I can be just like her.
This February, in addition to doing videos about famous Black women, Rosie is doing quick video history lessons about famous Black inventors.
Hi, my name is Rosie, and today we're going to be learning about George Crumb.
The videos are cute, educational, and memorable, often capturing the attention of the very person Rosie is honoring.
I am comedian, author, actress, and TV personality.
I thought it was fantastic. I think you're fantastic. You sound like me. You look like me. You got the lipstick. I think, maybe you need to be doing the show, but maybe you have to finish going to school first.
A pair of Florida manatees weighs in on the Super Bowl. Hugh and Buffett at Moat Aquarium in Sarasota have made their Super Bowl picks. The duo have decided the Cincinnati Bengals will defeat the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 56 this Sunday. Buffett wasted no time picking the Bengals, but Hugh was a bit more indecisive. Aquarium staff eventually calling it for Cincinnati. If you worried about their odds, last year Buffett picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the winner. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.